human mind. It's incredibly complex and powerful. And until now, despite the best attempts of modern science, most of its powers have remained a mystery. Just consider, thousands have walked on fire without so much as a blister. They walk barefoot over coals burning at up to 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Or consider this, the 1976 Summer Olympics, when against all odds, the tiny country of East Germany took second place, winning an incredible 40 gold medals. Afterwards, it was revealed that the East Germans had used a new kind of training, a mental training. Then consider this, major surgery, but patients feeling no pain even though no anesthetic has been used. Or this, a movie theater, but subtle changes have been made to the movie this audience is watching. Changes which make popcorn and soft drink sales go up 58%. Yet afterwards, no one remembers seeing anything unusual. How can the firewalkers do it? What is mental training? Why would so many moviegoers unknowingly feel motivated to buy refreshments? Hello, my name is Jonathan Parker, and in the next 60 minutes, we'll find the answers to all of these riddles. We'll see some amazing scientific breakthroughs that are changing the way people live, work, learn, and play. We'll see some amazing techniques that you or anyone could use to dramatically improve your life in many areas as we explore mind power. For years, I wondered about the untapped potential of the human mind. We've all heard stories of a frail grandmother lifting a car weighing thousands of pounds to save a loved one, or crash survivors who could withstand sub-freezing temperatures for days, or those who could remember the names and faces of hundreds or even thousands of people they'd only met once. How do they do it? And maybe the more important question to ask is, why can't we use these powers on a daily basis to enhance our lives? In my clinical work and my private practice, I've spent the last 15 years of my life researching these and many other questions about the powers of the mind. And the results that I've found are fascinating. And they all point to one thing, that there are forces and resources available to us that enable us to accomplish far more than we ever imagined possible. And the secret to releasing those resources lies in the powers of your inner mind. One of the most fundamental tenets of psychology is that you have both a conscious and a subconscious mind. The conscious mind is, of course, the part of your mind that you're aware of. You use it continually to think, to analyze, to solve problems, and to make decisions. But the conscious mind is just the tip of the iceberg, because beneath it there is a much greater resource, the subconscious. The subconscious portion of your mind plays a different role. It stores all of the information that goes in through your conscious mind, housing all of the memories and knowledge that you have gained from the time of your birth. And with this information, the subconscious exerts a tremendous influence on your conscious behavior and actions. In fact, few people realize just how powerful that subconscious really is. William James, the father of American psychology, said that the power to move the world is in the subconscious mind. Most people think they're in conscious control of their life, but in reality, it is the subconscious mind, that huge reservoir beneath the surface, that is the actual determiner of our life's destiny. Many psychologists liken the subconscious to a computer, which, although it's extremely fast and powerful, operates only according to a set of instructions called a program. A program like the one stored on this floppy disk. With different programs, a computer can do different things. Word processing, accounting, filing, budgeting, calculations, games, the list is almost endless. And you can change the programming of the computer by loading different programs. Your subconscious is like a computer in that it too operates according to a set of instructions or a program. And all of those memories and experiences which are stored in that subconscious become your master program. And it's the master program in your subconscious that directs, controls, and determines virtually every aspect of your life. Now, what if you could control the programming of your mind just as easily as you can control the programming of a computer? Imagine being in total control of all the potentials you have. Wouldn't that be the most valuable resource you could ever possess? The master program controls our relationships and dictates whether we have rich and satisfying ones, or problems, even with the people we love the most. It determines whether we're positive and happy most of the time, or depressed and moody. Even our habits that we are so often slave to and find difficult to change are controlled by our subconscious. The subconscious is especially important in your financial life. If you're not making as much money as you should be, in most cases the reason is that the self-sabotaging programming in your subconscious is preventing you from making it. Whether you make $20,000 a year or even $2 million a year has more to do with the limitations set in your subconscious mind than any other single factor. Your master program affects your income more than your background, your education, the economy, the business you're in, or even how hard you work. But where did this master program come from? Who's actually responsible for your life as it stands now at this very moment? Well, it all began at birth. From the time you were born, your mind began receiving input from those around you. Most of us greeted this world with bright lights and a lot of loud noise. Not exactly a warm and friendly way to greet a new arrival. And as we grew, we went on to be told that we couldn't do this or that, bombarded with negatives and limitations by almost everybody around us.
No, Johnny, stop that. I told you before not to do that. When I say no, I mean no. Now, don't you do that again.
One researcher estimated that by the time we enter school, we've heard no 40,000 times. That's a lot of negative programming going into our subconscious minds. Early in our lives, we're very impressionable and strongly influenced by the attitudes and the beliefs of the people around us. This formed an image of ourselves in our subconscious mind, our self-image. We began seeing ourselves a certain way according to other people's expectations of us. Imagine there's a Little League baseball player who usually strikes out, and now he's about to get up to bat. What kind of images are likely to be going through that child's mind? Is he thinking, this time I'm going to hit a home run? No, of course not. This youngster has very little self-confidence because each time he gets up to bat, he's more scared than he was the time before. And that's why he usually does strike out. I understand that, little boy, because as a kid, I played on a Little League team, and I struck out every time but twice the entire season. One of those times was when the pitcher walked me to first base. My batting average was at the bottom of the list. Do you know how it felt to strike out? That sinking feeling of defeat. Did you ever experience being the last one picked for a team? Well, I did. I think we've all had similar examples in our lives. We may laugh about them now, but deep down they're still there. Specific moments of negative programming can add up and stay with you for the rest of your life. After that Little League season when I was 8 years old, I never played baseball again, and it was a long time before I got over those feelings of failure. But now suppose someone had taken you or me aside when we were young and worked with us, putting positive thoughts and pictures in our minds. If instead of being afraid of striking out and failing, we had thoughts and feelings of knocking the hide off the ball, can you imagine the difference it would have made? Creating a positive self-image is critical because it's the key to everything about you. The self-image is much more than just what we think about ourselves consciously. It's also the deeply held beliefs that we have about ourselves at a subconscious level. Whether we're smart or dumb, successful or a failure, confident or shy, attractive or unattractive, prosperous or struggling financially. Our self-image manifests itself in every aspect of our lives on a daily basis. And even if your conscious desire is for your life to be better, You're limited by the master program in your subconscious. And the subconscious doesn't pick and choose on the basis of what would be good for you or not. It continues operating according to the program that's in it, just like the computer we talked about earlier. You know, many people want to succeed, but inside they keep hearing little voices that say things like, "You're not rich. You aren't a success. With your luck, you could never succeed. You're the same now as you've always been, mediocre at best. Who are you trying to kid?" 95% of all people are hearing these messages subconsciously, and they're believing it. And their lives reflect this limiting belief. Now, you would think that it's your conscious mind that's determining what's going on in your life, but it isn't. And that's why it's so hard to change habits. Have you ever tried to overcome a bad habit or change something in your life by making resolutions, exerting willpower, setting restrictions on yourself, rewarding yourself when you do well, and so on, and yet you find that you just keep slipping back into those old ways? It's sort of like there's an automatic pilot that keeps bringing you back onto your old course. Think about those New Year's resolutions, or maybe ones you made when you were on vacation, and then after a few weeks you found yourself in the same old routine again. Why is that? Or what about the other ways that we try to change? Reading self-help books, listening to sermons, or attending seminars, or promises we make to our family or friends. These methods usually don't make lasting changes because they're not getting at the root of the problem that lies in the subconscious portion of the mind. So even though you're making every effort to change on a conscious level, you still haven't changed your subconscious program. And it's this master program that's exerting the strongest influence in your life. The subconscious works something like an automatic pilot on an airplane to guide and control your life. It holds you on a particular course until that course is changed. And if the autopilot is set for a course that takes it into the side of a mountain, that's where the plane is going. And if your subconscious is set on failure, you will fail. Conscious attempts to change the subconscious won't work any better than radio instructions from the control tower are going to change the course of that plane, because by themselves they just don't get through. If you want to change your life, you must change that master program in your automatic pilot, your subconscious mind. You must change your self-image. And the self-image is incredibly powerful. I remember my dad taking me to the circus when I was about 10 years old, and I saw this huge elephant tied with just a little rope. And I remember wondering, how is it possible that a 6,000-pound animal, big enough and powerful enough to push down a whole house, could possibly be held by such a little rope? Well, the reason for this is that when the elephant was small, it was tied very securely with a heavy chain to a large post. And of course the elephant would try to get away, but every time it got to the end of the chain, it was stopped in its tracks. And after tugging on that chain time and time again, the elephant became conditioned to the fact that it couldn't get away as long as its leg was bound. So after a while, it just gave up trying. And when this happened, then it was no longer necessary to tie it with a heavy chain to a large post. A small rope would do. The elephant believed that it couldn't get away. There was a limit set in its brain due to past conditioning. Is the limit valid? Well, of course not. We know it's ridiculous. But the elephant doesn't. It is limited as an adult because of a belief that was established in its mind as a baby. And it's the same with us. Let me tell you about an example of how changing a limiting belief can change what a person is able to accomplish. Back in the early 1950s, it was commonly accepted that it was physically impossible for a human being to run a mile in less than 4 minutes. No one had ever done it before. And it was referred to as the 4-minute barrier. Well, I still remember those headlines in the newspaper saying that at Oxford, on May 6, 1954, a young man proved the whole world wrong when he ran a mile under 4 minutes and set a new world's record. Today, running a mile under 4 minutes is common, and it certainly doesn't make headlines. It's no longer referred to as the 4-minute barrier either. So once it was proven that it could be done, a long-held belief was changed, and others began running the mile under 4 minutes. Let me give you another example of how changing a limiting belief can change what a person is able to accomplish. Before the mid-1970s, no human being had ever lifted 500 pounds overhead. The world's record was held by a Russian, and he'd come the closest, but he'd never been able to break that 500-pound mark. Well, for one important competition, his trainers told him that he would be lifting a weight that he knew that he could lift because he'd lifted it before, 499.9 pounds. And he did it. And then it was discovered that the trainers deceived him about the weight that he had actually lifted. He lifted 500.5 pounds and set a new world's record. Well, what his trainers did was they purposely told him to do something that he already knew he could do. And they had erased a limitation that had been embedded not only in his mind, but also in the mind of all the other weightlifters. And the 500-pound barrier was broken forever. So, an elephant is limited because of its beliefs. A weightlifter and a runner are freed because of what they believe. And all three are examples of how our subconscious self-image can either prevent us from having or help us to achieve what we really want in life. A self-image, by the way, that was basically formed by the time you were 12 years old. Would you entrust your life to a 12-year-old? Well, that's actually what most people are doing, unless, as in the case of the weightlifter, something happens to change this. Yet we all know people who just can't seem to get their lives together. They go from one job to another or get into one business after another, and nothing seems to work out right for them, even though other people are successfully doing the very same type of things. I think we've all known sincere, hardworking people who just couldn't seem to make it financially no matter what they did. Or if they had a temporary success and good things did come their way, it just wouldn't last. They'd end up losing it. I've seen some people do very well financially one year, and then things would almost fall apart for them the next year. Their finances would go up and down like an elevator, and they could never seem to get lasting financial success. Why is that? The reason is that real success just isn't a part of their master program. It's simply inconsistent with their self-image. They're tied down by a subconscious belief that is an illusion, just like that elephant was held by a little rope. But until the self-image is changed, the thinking in the deepest part of a person's mind, it doesn't matter what opportunity comes along, it just won't work out right for them. And the single most important factor contributing to any type of success, whether business, personal, athletic, romantic, or social, is a positive self-image. Have you ever wished that you could win a large amount of money in a sweepstakes or lottery? Well, I have, and I'm sure just about everybody has had this desire at one time or another. Have you ever thought that if you could only win $1 million, then all of your problems would be solved? You'd be set free for life. No more financial worries ever again. Well, the shocking truth is that money isn't the answer. In fact, research into the case histories of lottery winners and sweepstakes winners shows that many of these people, some who had become millionaires, actually found themselves right back where they started from in a few short years. They had either wasted or lost the money, and they were no better off than before. In some cases, they managed to lose the money in as little as a year's time. Why did this happen? How can it be? The reason is that even though the outward circumstances in the lives of these people have changed, the master program in the subconscious had not changed. They still had the same old beliefs, the same old self-image in the subconscious, a self-image of not being financially successful. The powerful subconscious, that automatic pilot, gradually brought their outward image back into consistency with that poor self-image. You see, the subconscious mind holds on to the self-image that it has accepted from childhood and causes everything in life to be consistent with it. This even applies to our physical image and is why the vast majority of people who lose weight gain it back again. They might do what is necessary at a conscious level to lose weight by dieting, exercising, exerting willpower, or whatever, but they don't change their self-image at a subconscious level. Their subconscious still identifies with them as being overweight, and it's uncomfortable with an outward image that's different from the inner image, that image that's been with them for so many years. And gradually, the subconscious will cause the person's outward image to be consistent with that inner image. If that inner image is one of being heavy, they will return to being heavy. However, what research has shown is that when a person's subconscious self-image is changed, then the weight loss is much more lasting and permanent. You might think of your life as being similar to a movie. The subconscious mind is like the projector showing the movie on the screen. The projector, of course, can only project what's on the film that has been loaded into it. And the film is like the master program in your subconscious mind. Now, here's the interesting thing. A film of a frustrating and disappointing life, like the film we've just seen, runs through the projector just as quickly and efficiently as a film with scenes of romantic love stories or the lives of the rich and famous. If the film in your projector has images of financial frustration, failed relationships, and things going wrong, then you're not going to see a movie about happiness and prosperity. That would simply be impossible. So if you want to see a different movie, then you will have to take this film out of the projector and replace it with one you want. If you want to live a better life, then you will have to change the film you're playing, change the master program in your subconscious mind. But the question is, how? Now think about this. If you could put whatever film in your projector you wanted, you could have the life you want. If you could program your own mental computer the way you want it, you could make your life exactly what you want it to be. Back in 1976, the East Germans showed what happens when you change that film running inside the subconscious mind. They shocked the world when such a small nation won an unprecedented 40 gold medals and second place in the Summer Olympics, beating out the United States. The population of East Germany was only 15 million people, and yet they beat the United States with more than 200 million. 8 years earlier, at the 1968 Summer Olympics, the East Germans had won only 9 gold medals. What happened between 1968 and 1976 that enabled them to more than quadruple the number of gold medals won? Well, slowly rumors began leaking out about a new training technique that had to do with tapping the powers of the subconscious mind. The East Germans, it turned out, were not just physically training, they were mentally rehearsing for success each and every day of their training schedule. They'd been using their subconscious to dramatically improve their athletic performance. An elephant is chained because of its master program. A weightlifter's performance improves because of what he believes. An Olympic team trains in the mind. All of these amazing examples show how the subconscious mind controls our lives. But how can we harness the power of the subconscious mind to get what we want? How can our minds help us instead of hinder us to make our life better? The answer is contained in a series of tapes developed and tested through years of research at the Gateways Research Institute. Our library of 34 cassettes contains the tools you need to reprogram your mind for success in virtually every area of your life. These tapes help you use the 4 most powerful methods for reaching the subconscious: visualization, relaxation, subliminal communication, and mind talk. Let's cover each of these areas in depth, starting with visualization. It's one of the most powerful ways to reach and change the subconscious mind. Have you ever had a dream that seemed so real that you woke up and wondered if it was really just a dream? Well, what research has discovered is the subconscious doesn't even discern between what's actually happening to you in real life and what you vividly imagine. The power of visualization was illustrated in an experiment at the University of Chicago. Students, all with about the same ability in basketball, were divided up into 3 groups and asked to shoot foul shots. The percentage of baskets that each team made was then recorded. The first group was told not to practice or play basketball at all for 30 days. The second group was told to practice shooting foul shots every day for 1 hour for 30 days. And the third group was told not to go on a basketball court at all for 30 days, but to practice shooting foul shots in their mind for 1 hour each day. Well, at the end of the 30 days, there were some very interesting results. As you would expect, Group 1, who hadn't practiced at all, made no improvements over their original percentage of baskets made. Group 2, the group that actually practiced, had improved their performance by 24%. And Group 3, who hadn't even set foot on a basketball court, but only imagined shooting baskets in their mind, improved their performance by a phenomenal 23%, almost the same improvement as the group who had actually played basketball. Why did this happen? Because the subconscious mind can't tell the difference between what is real and what is imagined. To the subconscious, playing basketball or just imagining playing basketball was virtually the same thing, with the same results. Visualizing what you want your life to be is so powerful that if it's done properly, the subconscious mind will actually bring it about in your life. And that's why the Gateways Research Program includes 17 guided visualization sessions. They teach you the correct way to utilize this powerful technique, leading you step by step through visualization procedures that will change your subconscious and charge it with a strong, confident self-image and a totally positive mindset. Some of the tapes are specifically designed to put wealth and prosperity thoughts in the subconscious. They can help you move ahead financially. There's a tape to unlock hidden creativity and imagination. Regardless of the kind of work you do, this tape's invaluable. And then to get you out of ruts and break new ground for a more rewarding life, there's also a tape to eliminate procrastination. It's the tape that can transform you from a watcher to a doer to help you attain the good things in life. Remember, visualization was the key to the unprecedented success of the East Germans in the 1976 Olympics. And since then, it's been used by almost every serious athlete, and in education, medicine, and business. Visualization has a profound effect on people from every walk of life.
Through Jonathan's visualization techniques, I have created a new person, a new body. I lost 25 pounds. I work out. I'm healthy, and I want the best out of life. And I just have a zest and love for life. It's changed me a lot, yes.
The most outstanding improvement has been the ability to direct my life in whatever direction I would want after the tapes.
I had already learned quite a bit about the subconscious, and I knew that if you ever learn how to program your subconscious mind, you would be able to handle feats that you could never touch no other way. I don't think there's anything that'll beat them. I've never heard of any that would touch these tapes, because it gives you so much positive thought, so much positive action that you can take in every kind of situation. And I love those tapes, and I don't see why anybody else wouldn't. If they ever hear them, I'm sure they'll love them.
The tapes work for those people, and they can work for you. But when visualization is teamed up with relaxation, the second method to reprogram the subconscious, the results can be even more amazing. Tens of thousands of people have walked barefoot over beds of hot coals ranging in temperature from 1,600 to 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That's about 4 times hotter than your kitchen oven at its highest setting. Now, this isn't something you should ever attempt yourself without a great deal of preparation, training, and safety precautions. But what the firewalkers do is first spend some time putting themselves into a deep state of relaxation in which their breathing is slow and regular, and their pulse rate is slow, steady, and even. In this relaxed state, these people visualize cool green grass stretching out before them, and they see themselves reaching the end of the grass 15 or 20 feet away. They think of their fears and turn them into confidence and power to walk over those hot coals. The mind has incredible power. And visualization and relaxation are 2 of the most powerful ways of tapping its resources. An amazing example of what these 2 techniques together can do is in enabling patients to undergo surgery without anesthesia. The patient can actually desensitize parts of the body and be immune to pain, just like firewalkers are immune to heat of burning coals. This is also the key to some of the incredible feats of memory, in which a person's ability to remember is increased by 3 to 10 times. Back in the late 1960s, relaxation techniques allowed children in school in Bulgaria to learn an entire year's worth of material in just 3 months. Relaxation techniques work on both the mind and the body, and most importantly, they act as the gateway to the subconscious. They've been the subject of literally hundreds of studies in professional journals. For instance, using relaxation techniques, the University of Iowa found that students learned Spanish 3 times faster than by conventional teaching. And another test group learned computer language 7 times faster than before. It's important to remember that these results weren't achieved by what we usually think of as relaxation, such as reading a book or watching a movie or talking with friends. These were special structured relaxation sessions. They included special music, breathing techniques, and guided the participant toward positive imagery. This kind of structure is included in the 27 guided relaxation sessions found in the Gateways program. They can help you remove the roadblocks that hold you back. With these tapes, you can create prosperity and success in your life, develop better business skills, and become a successful achiever. Release more creativity and imagination. Dissolve stress, one of the biggest killers in America. Develop high self-esteem and self-confidence. Attract positive and loving relationships into your life. Become a happy, fulfilled person, and just plain get more out of life.
As a result of working with the Institute programs and seriously working at trying to identify why I think in certain ways and evaluating that process and working on the changing in my thinking, I've manifested tremendous change in my life, in my relationships, both personal and in business, in my physical living environment. I've just experienced marvelous changes, but I think that the materials that I have viewed from the Institute have been the most helpful for me. They have not only helped me, but I have purchased them as presents, for birthday presents for some dear friends. And I've just seen too many people benefit so greatly in such a short period of time. To me, it's the highest quality production I've found.
How do I feel about the tapes from the Institute? I think they're just wonderful. And they have done marvelous things in my life. I can look back and I can see, my God, I have changed in many, many ways. You know, they have brought such a great amount of change, I would say inner changes. And then, of course, the outer follows, you know, what happens. And I guess even people notice it.
Subliminal communication is the next effective way to make changes at a subconscious level. The word subliminal means below the level of conscious awareness, or the threshold of consciousness. In other words, you don't consciously see or hear it, and yet it registers in your subconscious mind. The public first became aware of subliminal techniques in the late 1950s, when the subliminal messages, "Eat popcorn and drink Coca-Cola," were flashed on a movie screen.